The sea was calm that night, the moonlight spreading across the water like a giant silver veil. The luxurious yacht Sea Breeze sliced through the waves, carrying dozens of passengers into what promised to be the trip of a lifetime. For a newlywed couple on board, it wasn't just a holiday, it was their honeymoon, the beginning of a brand new chapter. But just days into the voyage, romance turned into tragedy. One passenger vanished, a body was discovered, and beneath the polished veneer of love and celebration, dark secrets began to surface. Who was responsible for the death? Was it an unfortunate accident at sea, or a crime carefully planned under the cover of moonlight? The bride was young, radiant, and filled with hope for the future. Her husband, a man of success and refinement, carried the air of a gentleman, charming those around him with ease. They had met at a party, fallen in love quickly, and married after only a few months. To friends, they seemed like the perfect pair. A whirlwind romance, an extravagant wedding, and now a glamorous honeymoon aboard a luxury yacht. On the first day, everything looked flawless. They took photos on deck, hand in hand beneath the golden sunset. They clinked glasses at dinner, her smile so bright that no one could have imagined it would soon be extinguished forever. By the second day of the voyage, the atmosphere aboard the yacht subtly shifted. What had once seemed like a fairy tale honeymoon now carried an undercurrent of unease so faint at first that only the most perceptive passengers noticed. The bride's laughter, which had rung out brightly on the first day, grew quieter. The groom, once attentive and charming, seemed distant, his smile thinner, his words fewer. At lunch, when she asked him a simple question about the island they were about to visit, his reply was curt, almost dismissive. She blinked, taken aback, but said nothing. Later, as the couple sat on the sun deck surrounded by other guests, a small remark about the wine sparked a sharp exchange. His voice was low but edged with irritation. Hers trembled with restrained hurt. A few passengers exchanged uneasy glances, pretending not to notice. By dinner, the tension could no longer be disguised. She picked at her food, eyes downcast, while he drank steadily, glass after glass of red wine. When she abruptly rose from the table, excusing herself, the groom forced a laugh. "She's just a little tipsy, couldn't keep up with me," he said lightly. But the tightness around his mouth, the flicker of annoyance in his eyes, betrayed the mask. Later that night, in the hushed corridor, a steward paused outside their cabin. Behind the closed door, muffled voices rose, first hurried, then louder. The woman's voice cracked with emotion, fragments of protest slipping through. A man's deeper tone followed, clipped, heavy with restrained anger. Then a sharp sound, a sob, stifled quickly. The steward froze as silence fell, broken only by the sudden slam of a door inside. The yacht swayed gently on the waves, but inside cabin 8, the stillness was heavy, suffocating like the calm before a storm. The third morning dawned golden, sunlight spilling across the horizon as the yacht neared a small, picturesque island. Passengers gathered on deck, eager for the day's excursion. But one face was missing, the bride. Radiant and lively, only hours before, was nowhere to be seen. Her husband offered a casual explanation. She was tired, wanted to sleep in. He said it with an easy smile, but it didn't convince everyone. After all, she had spoken excitedly the night before about exploring the island. To those who had noticed the tension between them, his words carried the weight of suspicion. By midday, unease spread. Crew members discreetly checked the cabins, the lounge, the sun deck, every corner of the yacht. Nothing. Her cabin was in immaculate order. Clothes folded neatly, jewelry untouched, shoes lined by the bed. It was as if she had simply vanished, except for one detail, a single silk scarf missing from her belongings. Then came the discovery that made blood run cold. A sailor, scanning the upper deck, spotted the missing scarf caught on the railing. Its delicate fabric fluttered violently in the sea breeze, like a desperate signal left behind. That evening, as the sun sank into the waves, the yacht became a vessel of dread. Searchlights pierced the darkness, sweeping across the restless ocean. Crew and passengers peered into the night, calling her name, their voices carried away by the wind. At dawn, the ocean delivered its answer. Her body floated not far from the yacht, face pale as porcelain, eyes wide open, staring into nothingness. She seemed to plead silently with the world. Why? Shock gripped the yacht. At first, whispers of an accident circulated. Perhaps she had slipped, stumbled in the night, the sea claiming her in a moment of misfortune. The groom clung to this theory, nodding gravely. repeating it as though by repetition it would become truth. But the autopsy shattered that fragile illusion. Her body bore marks no fall could explain. Bruises on her arms, dark imprints around her neck, evidence of struggle, of force, of hands that had not let her go willingly. This was not an accident. This was violence. All eyes turned to the husband. He had been the last to see her alive. His story wavered under scrutiny. First, he claimed she had been sleeping in their cabin. Then, he insisted she must have gone out for fresh air. Witnesses contradicted him. Some recalled the argument. Others noted how he drank alone, brooding, after she left the table. And most chilling of all was his demeanor. While others wept or gasped in horror at the discovery of her body, he remained disturbingly composed, too calm, too measured. The honeymoon that had begun in splendor was now cloaked in dread. Passengers spoke in hushed tones, the crew avoided his gaze, and suspicion thickened in the salty air. The yacht was no longer a vessel of romance, but of betrayal, of secrets, of murder. When the yacht docked, authorities launched a formal inquiry. Every passenger was questioned. One crew member testified to hearing the late-night quarrel. Another recalled seeing the husband alone on deck, tense and restless. Inside the cabin, investigators uncovered a wine glass. Traces of sleeping pills were found in the liquid residue. Both sets of fingerprints, hers and his, were present. The pieces began to fit together. The husband had drugged his wife, staged the scene to look like an accident, and pushed her overboard. The motive soon surfaced. Just weeks earlier, she had purchased a substantial life insurance policy. The sole beneficiary, her husband. At first, the groom denied everything. He claimed he loved his wife, that her death was a tragic accident. But as evidence mounted, his composure crumbled. Finally, he confessed. He admitted to growing resentment in the marriage, to feeling trapped. The insurance payout had seemed like his escape. On that fateful night, driven by greed and desperation, he committed the unthinkable. But the sea he thought would conceal his crime ended up exposing it. The body surfaced. The bruises told the story, and justice caught up with him. The case closed with the husband sentenced for murder not just by the courts, but by the weight of his own betrayal. What began as a dream, honeymoon ended as a nightmare, a story of love corrupted by greed. The young bride's life was cut short, leaving behind the haunting question, do we ever truly know the person we vow to spend forever with? What do you think? Was this the tragedy of a doomed love, or the cold-blooded calculation of a man who never loved at all? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to follow more chilling mysteries.